Hello world, I am Arrrgus, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be playing a game that I haven't featured in my channel yet, and I'm not just going to be playing the game, I'm also going to be starting a new Let's Play series sort of with this game. So before I say anything else, I just want all of you to know that this video has no script. So I am saying any words that are just coming out of my brain right now. So this is a web browser game called NationStates, and as you can see, it's a nation simulation game. I discovered this game back in 2021, around that time, during the pandemic, when I spent a lot of time at home with my computer and the internet. I specifically discovered this from a YouTuber named Drew Durnil. He loves geography, loves geopolitics, and he was one of my favorite YouTubers back then because I also love geography and geopolitics and video games and simulation games that revolved around that topic. And coming back to the game about 5 years is going to be exciting. The game is still pretty much active. There's, according to the website, about 300,000 nations still active. But in this game, one person can create multiple nations if you have multiple email accounts. But other than that, the game also has a subreddit that is pretty much active. There's like almost 2,000 visitors per week. And yeah, this game's community is still very much alive. Although I did discover on Reddit that around 2024 there was a hard disk containing a lot of important data of the game that got corrupted. So apparently any data of this thing called the world assembly, which is sort of the version of the game, which is sort of the United Nations of the game. And apparently any data on or before 2024 is completely gone because it got corrupted. Alright, so anyways, let's start playing the game. So I do have a lot of stuff prepared that I will be needing, but let me just give you guys a little bit of a tour on the game. So the game's website, it is NationStates, www.nationstates.net. It's not .com, it's .net. By the way, this video is not sponsored, but once you're in the website, there is a button called Create a Nation. That's where you start playing the game. There is also another button here called New Nation. It's sort of the same. And if you're a returning player with an existing country, you can just go ahead and log in. But this will require you to use an email account that is connected to your previous nation. I do have a nation here in this game, but I'm not sure if it still exists or if I have deleted it in the past. But since I want to return to the game like fresh, I want to start with a new nation. So if you want to just straight up create a new nation, you can create a nation. But if you want to explore the game a little bit, you can go to see the world, for example. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff to check here. There's these featured regions. Regions in the game are basically like clans or alliances that you can join later. But by default, when you start a nation, you get some sort of default region assigned to you, but you can leave that later on if you want to join a different one. There's also a featured map. This feature was added years ago, but I think it got added when I left the game back years ago. There's also a lot of this census reports. As you can see, this game is very realistic. Let's say, for example, I want to see which nations have the best civil rights. So as you can see, this nation called the Element of Surprise, they have the best civil rights in the world. And as you can see, most of these nations are anarchic. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Anarchic nations, which makes sense because if you're in total anarchy, you basically have like no laws, no governments. Obviously, everyone has their own rights. And you can also see like other mottos of the game. And yeah, there's just a lot of things to explore to this game. As you can see, there's also like the most populous nations. There's like nations with the most rebellious youth in the world. And you can also just go to, where is it? How to play if you're not familiar with the game. I'm sort of not familiar with the game anymore, but it's a simple game if you wanna skip that part. It's a simple game, you're gonna learn it while you play it. There is also a forum. Again, the forum is also active. There's a lot of news to the game. As you can see, there's like a lot of like fairly new news in the game. Apparently these are created by players, not by the developers. And as you can see, there's an archive of this. And I forgot to mention, this game has existed decades ago. As you can see, there's like archives from 2003 Yeah, alright, anyways, without a further ado, let us start our nation. Let's create a nation. So by default, you are given the Aboriginal flag, but later in the game, you can change this to an existing flag or a custom flag that you downloaded or created. So the first step is to basically choose where you are in the political compass. If you don't know what the political compass is, there are basically four sides. The north side or the upper side is the authoritarian side. The south side or the lower side is the liberal side. The left side or the west side is the progressive, socialist, communist, and on the right or the east are the conservatives and capitalists. However, in the game, the upper and lower sides are flipped. As you can see, libertarian nations are on top and authoritarian nations are on the bottom. So back then, I was really unrealistic. I thought that if you're an anarchic nation, it was good because, as you can see, it gives a lot of freedom. But if I want to be realistic, I'm not gonna go with this one. I want to start liberal though, but I want to see how my choices and actions on the game later will affect how I'm gonna lean towards any of this later on the game. And the next step is to answer these questions. Again, these affect how your country starts or your nation starts. So the first question is, a country should be judged by how it treats its worst-off citizens. I agree with this one because this basically means that a country should be judged how it treats. The next is, corporations are good for society. By the way, most of these questions are very general, but corporations in general are not generally good for society because, you know, it's capitalism, and capitalism can result in consumerism, and sometimes we end up paying for whatever price these corporations want to give us. Next is, marijuana should be legal. Again, it's very general, but I'm going to agree with this one because in reality, marijuana can actually be used medically. The next is, the world needs to rediscover its spirituality. I'm going to disagree with this one because it's going to give us scientific advancement and secularism. This basically means, secularism basically means that spirituality is not like implemented in schools or workplaces or the government. Although I'm a spiritual person, I feel like, you know, you shouldn't really always implement spirituality on most public places. Next is, young people should perform a year's compulsory military service. I'm gonna strongly disagree with this one because not all young people want to serve in the military, and we all know the state of the world right now. You know, a lot of nations are using a lot of military to go on with these wars, and it's very violent. Next is, capitalism is on the way out. I'm gonna agree with this one because, again, I'm not a capitalist person. Next is, without democracy, the country has nothing. I strongly agree with this one because I am a very democratic person. It's better to deter criminals than rehabilitate them. I strongly disagree. You can rehabilitate some criminals because, you know, rehabilitation is more human, and rehabilitation is basically also education. Next is, what's the history of our nation? This is basically like, how did the nation start? So I do have some sort of lore in my mind right now. My country is basically sort of like a colony from Mars. Basically, there's these Martians, they wanted to discover, like, are there any planets where they can form a new colony. So I'm gonna go for plucky, malnourished pioneers. With story behind this is that brave, decreasingly well-financed explorers. What? Brave, decreasingly well-financed explorers traveled across the globe in search of virgin lands. Upon finding them, declined to notify homeland. So that basically, like, you know, it connects with the lore that I want to give to this country. Again, I just want to remind everyone that this video has no script, so I don't know what words are coming outside of my mouth. And I'm also not prepared, so I'm really struggling a lot to read. So the name of the nation, I want to give a reference to, if you don't know, I started a live stream series on the channel called ArrrgusTV. I basically played this city building video game called Town, and I named it ArrrgusTV. And I also want to give tribute to one of my favorite characters named Poe. So I'm gonna call it ArrrgusTV and Poland. So Poland, it's actually a reference to something on Roblox called Pooland by Drew or Jan Drewer. Yeah, it was funny, it was cute. It was like a game on Roblox filled with Poe. Again, this is a colony because we're basically Martians on Earth. I'm gonna change this later. I do have my flag designed already. So the currency, I wanted to do Pooh coins, because on the video game Poe, the currency is coins, but of course, just Pooh was much better because like you pay with Pooh. National animal is going to be Poe. The motto is also going to be a tribute to the Pooh Land game on Roblox. Basically, when you join that game, there's this robotic voice that says, "Welcome to Pooh Land." I also want to give tribute to, you know, how I say my intro. Hello world. Alright, I'm gonna pause my recording because this part is very confidential.